think it's very clear what we are decluttering today, which is eyeshadows. I think this desperately needs declutter because a lot of this stuff I really don't use anymore, and I desperately need to understand what I do have in my collection. And let's, where do we even start? The SUQQU one. Let's see what we have, because I don't really remember. When you have more than 3 shades of something, you kind of forget what you do have. So this one, oh, this is one of the new ones, I think. It's the shade 134, Sakura Utsushi. But this is a great quad. I would love to keep this one. And this is another like very limited edition one. This is a pre-order quad, so you can only get this if you pre-order with them. And of course I did. It's actually not as glittery as I thought it would be, but nonetheless it's actually a pretty quad. I can see it's like very soft type of shimmers and glitters. I think I should again use this more, and because I often forgot what I do have, so I made some levels on here, so I don't have to open this to know what it is. And this is, oh, this must be the number 2. Yeah, number 2, and it's one of the more daily bases, like your warm neutral. Today I'm talking extra softly because yesterday I decluttered 2 other categories, and my throat is so tired of this. Like, I don't know how teachers do this every single day. Like, now I feel like I'm exhausted after just 5 minutes of talking. Okay, but yeah, this one I think I'm gonna keep. This is a great one actually. And this is the shade 4. This is another great one. It's like daily usage, but on the pinkier side. It's very easy to use. I love this. I really should use this more, but I think right now I'm just like so focused on the project pen. This is the shade 6, another neutral, but for the daily usage. You would think these 2 are so hard to use on daily, right? But I actually love these 2 shades. If you use it very sheerly, it just adds some depth to your eyes. So I normally, when I use this all over my lid, and I use either this one or this one to like basically give some dimension. And if I want like a slightly warmer dimension, I use this one. If I want like a cooler tone, I use this one, and then I layer this one on top. That's basically how I use it. And I actually use it a lot, and you can barely see it because it's actually pretty good pigmentation. Like, I have people ask me in the comment section, like, would I say Japanese eyeshadows is more pigmented than Korean eyeshadows? And my answer is like, basically depends on the formula, but in general I do think it is more pigmented. It's my computer, some notification, but whatever. You can see it's no Natasha Denona level of pigmentation, okay? I do understand that, but it's some pigment, right? Like, it's some pigment, and I would say this is a medium buildable coverage if it is a foundation. It's that level. So yeah, if you're not like looking for some editorial like super pigmented eyeshadows, as long as you're not looking for those, I think SUQQU eyeshadow, which is J Beauty, can be pigmented enough for you. And you know, you can always just build them. But there are some brands that are less pigmented. This is the shade 104. This is one of the like more older ones. Actually, this is one of the limited edition that I love so much. But I feel like recent years, I just don't use super warm, like orangey eyeshadows all that much. Like if I use any, I think this is warm enough for me. This is a little bit too warm. Okay, my camera just stopped recording, but the conclusion is this one is too warm for me right now. So even though I do think this is one of the best limited edition quad that SUQQU has ever done, but because I don't use it anymore, there's no reason to keep it. So basically, never thought I would declutter this one, but I am gonna to this time. And I'm gonna put it here. And this is another one that I don't use anymore, and I think this also is the best, one of the best of their limited edition quads, because this green is so unique that I never even encountered this type of green in any other quads. But things, I just don't use this one. I think right now my eyeshadow is like very simple and very light, so this type of color is a little bit like too rich for me. So I think this could go, even though it kind of hurts to declutter this one. Like if you watched my previous declutters, you know how many times this has stayed in my collection through all those declutters, and I probably said I'm never gonna declutter this, but here the day comes. And this one is a little bit different though, because even though this one is very dark as well, but if you just use this as a eyeliner or something, and these two can be, you know, looking more like light on the eyes. Maybe let me swatch. Yeah, it's like a very lightweight. But the things, again, I just don't use this. Like whenever I think of using SUQQU quad, I'm probably thinking one of these, like the one that I just decided to keep. So maybe this one can go too. Like, well, again, like I never thought I would declutter that one. It was such a good one as well. And this one, it's a bit hard. Like I think this is one of the newer ones. It's, which one was that? Oh, this. It's the it came out the same time as this one, and I way prefer this one than this. Because I feel like I just rarely use a blue, right? And I'm not a big fan of this shimmer shade. It's a little bit thick without much effect like this one. So I don't know. I think I could declutter this one as well. Well, 4 SUQQU quads gone. I don't know how I feel actually, but I do feel 5 is actually enough for me. Why is there one that's not labeled? What is this one? Oh, it's the number 6. But yeah, this is more of the staple ones, and I think you can tell that the one that I kept are overwhelming. Well, not overwhelming, like majority is the permanent shades. I think it's just because the permanent shades are good basics and I'm basic. So that's the conclusion. I think I need to be more selective with SUQQU quads. Well, I am right now. Like I'm not like when I was before, buying every single quad from them. I probably already be very selective, and these are more from the period of time that I'm buying like their every collection. And I also feel like the next time this one may be on the verge of being decluttered, because I'm not in love with all of the shades. The one shade that I love the most is this one, And the other shades I'm just okay, but I feel like I could use this more to make a judgment. And for this one, I just, you know, I already know my opinion on those. Okay, and the next one, let's go through flower nose, which I don't think I'm gonna declutter any actually, because these are all amazing quality eyeshadows and they look so gorgeous. Please focus. They look so gorgeous, but at the same time it's not like the color story is not too extreme like for me to use, so I think I would love to keep maybe all of them. And this one is another good basic. This palette, the mattes are less pigmented than the other ones. This is like almost K-beauty level of pigmentation for these mattes, but I do think it's probably intentional. And my favorite series from them being this. Actually, I love this one too, but I love these equally because they are so beautiful. And the mattes are so pigmented. Let me show you this red. This red, like, can you see how I didn't even try? Okay, I didn't even try to make like a rich swatch. I just lightly swatched my finger, and that's and you can also see that it's not like very patchy. Well, it might seem like that because it's on my dry hand that I swiped a million times over these 2 days because of the declutter, but it's really good quality. So, and this like color story is also very unique, right? And the glitters, I love the glitters in these palettes. Like, you can see they are like metal, they are intense. So every time they have a different pigmentation, like across different series, I do feel like it's intentional for them, because for this color story it only makes sense, I'm talking about this one, it only makes sense to make them super pigmented, right? Like if this is a sheer, I feel like this color story doesn't really make sense. And I feel like for this type of color story, both sheer and pigmented could make sense, right? Because these neutral, you can go like very sheer, and you can also go very pigmented with this. But yeah, again, this one you have to be pigmented. So I do think their selection for their pigmentation level is intentional. And this one is more in the middle, and this one I just showed is like sheer. Okay, that's another one done. It's one of the newer ones that I tried. I feel like these mattes are more of like a middle level of pigmentation, and these are super intense. These reminds me so much of the McGrath palette. Let me show you. Like this one, of course it's like different color story, but don't you see the similarity? Like these mattes, like this two, like is so similar to this two, and not even mentioning this one and this one, right? And this gold color is kind of like reminding me of this, and this one with this one, right? So I feel like if you love this color story and you don't want to pay the McGrath money, I think this is a good one. And actually I enjoy this formula better. Maybe we can try this shade. I think this one is this because it has like pink glitters, because I swatched that I forgot. But yeah, this one is probably this because there's no other color, it's just pure blue. Well, they both swatch like crap. But let me layer it a little bit. Yeah, this is, and I would say that I like this flower nose one more. Not that the McGrath one is not good, but it's just preference for the formula. Because I would rarely use a color like this, and this one being so blue and no other color in it, it just probably is. I'm just gonna tell you, I probably only reached for this color once in my life, owning this palette for so long. But yeah, this one, I think overall the color story just make more sense. Because in this palette, only 2 shades are blue, and there's no mattes that go with this color, like no matte blue, and this one has one, so I feel like it's making more sense for the whole color story. With that being said, I think I'm gonna declutter this one, which this is another one that I never thought that I would declutter, okay? But yeah, I am going to. I'm going to. And I think that's all of the flower nose palettes. Since we are here for the McGrath one, let's just look at all of these. I have 4 at the moment. This one is the, I don't know the name, but this is probably the color 2 or 3. You know, the one with the green. I think this one is good. It's good, but it's also nothing groundbreaking. Like I have this gold in here, and every other shade that I probably have, like other than this one is special. But the thing is, when would I use a color like this, right? And all the other colors I probably had a million times in my collection. And also, have you ever think about the same thing? Because eventually, at first I thought, you know, I'm buying a McGrath palette for the 4 Bliss Astral shade. But have you ever noticed that in these 4 shades, there got to be 1 or 2, like at least 1, that is like a very dry formula, that is not even that like good. It's just probably about 2 shades that's actually good. And in this case, I feel like these 2 are very good, and this one is like pretty dry, like not even that much, like giving that much. So it's really holding on this whole big ass palette just for like 1 or 2 shade, which is not my stance right now with my collection. I want a palette that I love as a whole. And also another thing is, if I'm just reaching for 1 or 2 shades, I'm not gonna pull a heavy ass palette like McGrath, you know what I mean? So I think that's gonna go as well. I just realized that right now I'm more into Asian beauty. For eyeshadows, I feel like flower nose, like Sea Beauty, just kind of beats McGrath for me. Like, don't come for me, okay? That's my personal opinion. I'm not saying that is like actually just truth for everybody. Probably there are a lot of people don't agree with this opinion, but yeah, for me, McGrath is actually not good enough for me to keep right now after trying so many Sea Beauty makeup. And this one is this 2. I am debating, do I keep one of them to, you know, just have a reference for this formula, because this formula indeed is one of the more unique formulas, and I do think these 2, like the Bliss Astral wise, it's more on the consistent side, even though I do think there's like about at least 1, like it's like a little bit drier. This one is better because this is more flaky rather than dry. This is like kind of dry. And yeah, which one do I keep, or do I keep any? I think maybe we can keep this one. Well, the thing is, the mattes of these 2 palettes have no much difference. And the little shimmers, these shimmers I almost never use. So it really comes down to the shimmers and glitters. It is really hard to decide. And also I feel like for these shades, I have already reviewed it, but this Girlcult palette, this is kind of like replacing this palette, and it's better. Like this shade was one of my favorite, and this one is like a better, even better version of it, even though you can't really see much on the camera. I think you can barely see, but yeah, this one is from Girlcult and this one is from McGrath. I do think on the eyes, the Girlcult one is just as good, if not better. So I really don't know. Do I keep one? I think for now I can keep this one, this reddish one, and I'm decluttering this one, but I'm putting that decision on hold. I don't know, maybe in the end I'm gonna declutter all of them. But yeah, for now I'm kind of keeping this, kind of. And this one for sure is gonna be a keep, right? Like there's no way I'm gonna declutter this one. Another one from Girlcult. I love these little quads that they have all of the shimmers. I basically exclusively buy these type of palettes from them, because if I am using a palette just for one shade, it better be a small palette, right? I feel like a palette this small is serving the same purpose as a big ass McGrath palette. I feel like if their palettes is more the mattes and the other shimmers works better, I could reach for this one more. But the thing is, their mattes are either mediocre or like, you know, they can be good, but sometimes it's mediocre. And for the shimmers, sometimes it's just so dry. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to purchase that much when the shimmers and mattes don't really work that well. And even the Bliss Astral shades have like one or two that I don't like. Like, I don't know why I decide to buy that much. But next will be Kaleidos. I think Kaleidos is one of the more inclusive C-beauty brand. I think their color stories can cater for like way wider of skin tone. Like this one, even though these two are pretty sheer and like light, I mean, but they do have like a dark shade, and this is like basically it's gonna work for every skin tone, right? And it's like such an intense and beautiful glitter. I would argue this is more intense than the McGrath one. So I'm gonna keep both of these. And next, maybe let's talk about these little palettes from J Beauty. I feel like this one I'm definitely gonna keep, because this is my Project Pan palette, and you can see how much I use it. This is such a easy to use palette for me. These all satiny mattes, and the color story is like very easy to navigate. I basically just mix this shade with like one of these and all over my eyelids, and that's just my daily makeup. I feel like if you want a matte palette that's like basic from Asian Beauty, I think you could just get this palette. It's like very easy to use. This little ColourPop palette is like actually a very great palette from ColourPop, but I just don't reach for it. So I think, and the closure is kind of weak, I think I'm gonna declutter this one. This is from the brand Cezanne. I think I have purchased 2 other quads from them. That's the color story that I probably love more than this one. So I think I can declutter this one too. And this one is a new one from Can Make. For me, this is like to draw your eye bags. Namida buko in Japanese. I'm keeping this one because I only have one of this kind. And this is another palette from Can Make that I'm obviously gonna keep. I only had this for not so long. And I think after I finish this palette, this could be the next one that's like in my daily makeup routine. So these 3 Can Make ones are Kip, and this one is actually a great palette, and the glitter is like a very intense glitter. Wow, you can barely tell because of the lighting, but just know this is a great glitter. I don't know, do I want to keep this one? I don't reach for it that often though, but this color is a great color. It's like on my hand, like swatch on my hand is like nothing, but on my eyes this is like such a pretty mid-toned brown color. But the thing is, I feel like I have had this for too long that it doesn't perform the same for me anymore. So maybe I want to declutter this one as well. This one is from the brand Excel. This is one of the brand that does very sheer eyeshadows in like J Beauty. Well, even though it still has some pigmentation, but I think this palette that I choose is like one of the more pigmented ones, but a lot of their other palettes are not that pigmented. So yeah, if you want really pigmented J Beauty eyeshadows, probably you should avoid this one. But for now, I'm gonna keep it. Now maybe let's talk about some K Beauty palettes where it's like more sheer. You know what, before that, maybe let's talk about the glitters and the single eyeshadow, because I'm running out of space. And talk about these glitters need some space. There's so many. Where do I even begin? I don't think I'm gonna swatch most of them because this is too many. I think for the special ones and for the ones that I'm gonna declutter, I might swatch them. This is like a C Beauty brand. This is such a unique formula. It's a baked eyeshadow, but it's a cream. Like, how weird is that? Like, have you ever used a cream eyeshadow that's like a baked formula like this? But it is. And it's actually very pretty. I'm gonna keep these. For this section, the keep ones, I'm just gonna keep in this little container. And the not keeping ones, I'm gonna throw it like here on this surface. This like little water activated little ones, they are not eyeshadows, and I do want to keep these because they are for like more functional type of purpose in my collection. I just keep this because the shape is like same as a single eyeshadow. These ones are keep. This is one of the collection that I desperately need some clearance. And I do have some in my daily makeup drawer as well. Let me bring these as well. This one, I just bought this and I'm gonna keep this. This is very similar to the Fenty Diamond Balm, the one that everybody loves, the highlight. I think this was like categorized as a highlighter as well, but it's so glittery. There's no way I'm using that as highlight on my face. And this is a SUQQU glitter in the shade 12. this single one is a different formula than the glitter in there. Where was I? Oh, it's a different formula than the glitter in their quad. Well, you can't see anything. But yeah, it's like pretty intense on your eyes. And I'm gonna keep this one. And there's 2 other glitters from SUQQU as well. And I'm gonna keep all of them because I do really like their glitter in this single form. And I do use them. Like when I use them like non-stop, and when I decide to use something else, I don't use them in month. It's more like that. Right now I'm not using this, but I would love to still have these. This is from the brand Cosmetics. It's their Cosmic Pearl Dewy Eyeshadow in the shade Luna. This is actually one of the very intense and unique formulas that normally I would love to keep, right? See how intense it is. But right now I think I just have too many of this sort of stuff that it's probably better to declutter these. 2 both brown eyeshadows. Melting Point. One is Heat Ray. There's nothing wrong with these eyeshadows, but I feel like it's just mid. Like it's great, but there's nothing special with them, and I don't really use them that much actually. Let me open this. It looks prettier when I open the packaging. This is the single eyeshadow Private Beach from Addiction. It's a glitter. It's a pretty intense glitter, but you cannot see. And I actually would love to declutter this, not because it's not good, but this one is not available anymore. They have since reformulated their whole single eyeshadow collection, and I have this sort of color like multiple times in my collection, so I think this one can go as well. And this is another single eyeshadow from Cezanne. It's a very typical glitter. I don't think I really reach for this one at all, actually, at all. So I'm gonna declutter this one as well. And this is from Muji. It's actually rare that like Muji has some like intense eyeshadows. This is like this is nothing on the camera, but in real life it has something. And for Muji, it's like they rarely put out anything that's groundbreaking when it comes to like eyeshadows. It's all pretty basic. And that one I really rarely use. So that's a product that's gonna go. And these 2 Tom Ford eyeshadow duals. This is again one of the stuff that I never thought I would declutter, but I think it is finally time, because again the glitters is just not special anymore right now that I have tried so many C Beauty makeup. It's just really not special anymore for me. I have probably millions of other formulas that can give me the same, if not better, and I just don't reach for them anymore. But on the other hand, these Jose single eyeshadows, I'm for sure gonna keep them. This is one of the best glitter formulas that I have tried in my life, and they're not even that expensive, and there's so many different choices. I really want to have a whole collection of this. I want every shade, but I'm not going to. 3 is enough for me right now. And I have like review videos on my channel, but this one is such a pretty like one and done taupe eyeshadow. It reminds me of the like one of the taupe eyeshadow from Dior, a Dior quad. It's like cashmere or something. The shade is not completely the same, but the vibe is like very similar, and this quality is just unmatched. And the chunky glitters, one of the most intense ones that I have ever used. So these for sure are gonna stay. And the packaging is kind of similar to the Addiction one for some reason. And this is another one that I recently tried from C Beauty. It's the brand Girlcult. This is so fragile. I ordered one and it shattered, and contact them, they send another one, it's shattered again. So this is a repressed one. It's like super fragile. So if you are ordering like from overseas, be prepared, this is gonna be crushed when it arrives. It's like super fragile, and I don't know how to how to translate this name, but it's I'm just gonna say the shade. It's S02. I think out of all of the shade that this series has, this is the most pretty one, and I got 2 of this because again, one crashed and they sent another, and the other crashed as well. And these 2 little single eyeshadow, one is from Kate, a J Beauty brand, and the other is from Holy Cow. I just got them, still trying to figure out you know, my thoughts about them. And another formula that I love from C Beauty, this brand Judido, their glitters are like very sparkly, but they are more fine glitters. I feel like the concept is very similar like to these TF Tom Ford little singles, like little glitters, and they are much more affordable and accessible. And also they actually, do I even dare to say I think this is better than the Tom Ford one. I think the Tom Ford one is only good when it's like years ago, when nobody else is doing glitters like them. Like they have decent glitter formulas, but recent years everybody is catching up and they are just not special anymore. And I have Charlotte Tilbury cream eyeshadow and Tom Ford one. Again, I just don't reach for them. I think it's time to let them go. It's just, I don't know, I feel like once I stepped my foot in Asian beauty, I just never stepped back. And this is another Cosmetics single eyeshadow that I'm gonna declutter because I rarely reach for them. This is the Urban Decay whatever cowboy, you know, the most famous one, and I'm gonna keep this one. It's a good one. And randomly there is a gel eyeliner from SUQQU that's also in this little container. But that's it. That's it for the single eyeshadow like pods and stuff. But we also have this thing, but I really don't think there's much to declutter. We have already decluttered most of them, and in here is just one glitter liner from Flower Nose and all the other SUQQU like single liquid eyeshadows, which I love them all. And there's nothing old and the things that I don't reach for. It's just, you know, the frequency stuff. I sometimes don't, I'm not gonna use this every day, right? But it's good to have, and it's like pretty new to my collection. So that's a keep, and that's gonna be out of the frame. Basic palettes, I do feel like they can have more pigmentation. Like especially this one, all these mattes don't feel that different on my face, like at all. This one, there's some difference because it's like darker, But again, I don't feel like that much different when I use all these masks. Like this one is probably a little bit different, but not all that different. So yeah, I have nothing against this formula. Like it's easy to blend and stuff, but yeah, the formulation could be more pigmented. And if you want to buy this Basic palette and you really don't want the barely there type of finish, I strongly suggest you to buy the darker shades, right? Like that way it at least shows on your skin. Don't buy the like super pale ones. This Wake Make palette, I actually like this one. I just don't use it that often because I don't reach for this type of color story on a daily, of course, but it's not bad. And this is again on the more sheer side. So if you want some pigmentation, you better choose a more like a stronger color. And this is from Hints. I feel like Hints is on the more pigmented side of C Beauty, but not C Beauty, K Beauty. But giving the overall average of K Beauty eyeshadow pigmentations compared to other brands from other markets, this is still on the more sheer side, but again, it's like more pigmented than other K Beauty eyeshadows. Like you can see, at least there is some color, right? The shimmers are on the sheer side. So yeah, I feel like if you want to try K Beauty eyeshadows and you would want at least some pigmentation, you could try this brand, but only when there is a good sale. Because I don't think this eyeshadow worth its original price. At least in Japan, they do sale all the time, and it's like 40% off or something, like on their Q10 official store on Q10. And they always have this like big sets that includes like whole lot of full-size stuff, like for $30 or something. It's like not even worth the price of one palette. So, and if you cannot find a good deal, I would just suggest you not even get it, you know. Oh, there is one from Romand. It's actually not that pigmented as well, and I don't really like the glitter in here. But with that being said, I think this is more pigmented than the Basic one. So I think I like this one a little bit more than the Basic one. And there's only 4 left. And these 4 are gonna be hard decisions because they are my giant palettes. Like in a period of time, I love this palette like as everybody else does. Like I'm not special. When there's trends, even though I am sometimes a pick-me inside, not a pick-me in a way, you know, like geared towards men and, you know, stuff like that, but a pick-me in a way that I want to be special. Like I want to think myself is special. For example, till right now, I have never ever watched Harry Potter. And I remember when I was in middle school, Harry Potter was so popular. I think that's when it first came out, and everybody was watching it and everybody was raving about it, and I just feel like me being so special that I never watched or read anything from Harry Potter. Until this day, I feel like the only footage that I have watched is on TikTok and the trend. Do you know the trend? I don't remember the dialogue exactly. You know, like Hermione saying like no, wrong, no, like, you know, stuff like that. Like people are making a joke about it. That's the only clips that I watched from Harry Potter till this day. So yeah, deeply in my heart, like I want to be special. But at the same time, it's just not. Like when you grow up, it's like a process of understanding that even though everybody is different, but you are not that special. With that being said, when the big palettes is very on trend, I collect a lot of them. And like with the years I have decluttered a lot, and today, even today, there's like a lot of big palettes it's gonna go. And I think this is one of the last palette from Natasha Denona, and I just don't use it. There's nothing wrong with this palette. There's a reason why this is the only Natasha Denona palette in my collection, right? It's because it's good. But the thing is, again, I just don't use it, and look how basic these colors are. When I want a color that's this basic, I reach for something like this. Like it's easy, right? It's just a small little palette that I don't have to think about. And this palette, when I open this, I might in the end just use 3 shades. But when it comes to like a mid-tone brown, I have to think about, oh, like these 3, which one do I use? Like for shimmer, like all of these shimmer, which one do I use? And the dark shade, like you know what I mean? But like with a palette like this, I don't really have to think. I just throw on the shades and it's done. So again, it's nothing about the quality and stuff. It's purely just because of the habit. So this is gonna go, but I'm trying to figure out how do I put this product in frame. And the next one is the one that I think I'm still gonna keep, the ColourPop big palette. I think I don't really have this type of super intense color on, you know, other palettes. So I think it's good to keep at least one, and this is a very great quality. I think this is one of the best ColourPop palette, even though it's a big palette, but it's, whenever I pick up this palette, I probably have like a specific thing in my mind, so it's not like a big like choice, you know, difficult choice to pick up the color. Like if I want the baby blue, or like I'm just gonna use this one, you know what I mean? And this is, oh, I lied when I say that's the only Natasha Denona palette. The only midi-sized Natasha Denona palette. Okay, I also have a big one. I think in the last declutter, I declared the other like purple one. And this brown one, I actually love it. But again, I just don't use it. Like when I might pull out this big of like a huge palette to just use like two shades, right? So I think it's time to say goodbye, which hurts. Like it absolutely hurts to declutter that palette. And when I declutter a palette like that, I want to make sure that I'm never wanting to repurchase it, because if I want to repurchase, why do I, you know, even declutter that? But I think I'm sure I don't want to repurchase that. And this is the Beautopsy palette from Hindash. And I just want to ask, what's going on with his brand? Like I don't see them, you know, doing new stuff ever recently, like recent years. So again, what's happening? Is the brand closing or stuff? I don't know. But this is actually a great palette. And again, I just don't use it. This palette, I think, is good for people that has great short-term memory, which I am horrible at that. I have ADHD. Like long-term memory, no problem. Like learn something, like study the things that you should remember for the longest time. I have no problem with that. But with the short-term memory, it's really not great for me. Like I could stand up to go pick something up, and my eye picked up another thing, and ultimately I just forgot what I stand up to pick. So this palette is the worst nightmare. Like I would, you know, blend these 3 shades, let's say, and I apply to one eye, and then when it comes to the other eye, I just look at this palette and I think, which 3 did I mix? Right? And I was like, wait, which? And even if I remember, like then I'm gonna think about, where did I place my brush, right? Because you place your brush here and here, that's 2 different colors, and this shade, like every shade is the same. Like you place your brush here, and here is like a different shade. Like which shade did I pick? Like where did I put my brush? Like every time I have to think about that. So I feel like this is really for the artist and someone who love to mix their shades and also have a great short-term memory. It's for sure not for me. Like there's nothing wrong. Again, nothing wrong with this palette. It's a great palette. I just couldn't remember each time what did I pick. And I think that's a good reason to declutter this. I think that's all. Maybe there's one or two things in the pile of stuff that I'm still trying, but again, like I mentioned, I wouldn't include those in this video because it doesn't make sense, right? I'm not gonna declutter those. So for the declutter session, this is all. And how much did I declutter though? Let me put the ones that I'm keeping away and show you what I decided to declutter. Hold on for a second. This is gonna take a while to put all of these back. Well, I can't believe it because my drawer looked so empty. Actually kind of sad, but like it's good. So all of these I'm decluttering. You know, all these big ass palette and all of these SUQQU quads, like these beautiful quads actually. And all of these little ones. And all three of these bigger palettes, like the Hindash one and the two Natasha Denona. So now I literally have nothing from Natasha Denona anymore. So these are all the declutters. I do want to say this is like a big declutter, right? So how many am decluttering? This is 7. So 24, I guess. 24 declutters. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. I'm pleased with with myself that I didn't cling on too many things that I don't use and don't need anymore. And thank you very much for watching today. I'll see you the next declutter, which is lips.